the past couple of years, Gen Con has pushed so many potential customers away because they focused heavily on identity politics. They've banned individuals and companies simply for disagreeing with their political leanings. And we know that they have hired extremely woke individuals, raging leftists, and toxic feminists galore. But it looks like in a hilarious turn of events, these people are getting punted because Gen Con has fired its entire staff of woke sci-fi and fantasy writers. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, Gen Con used to be an extremely hyped up and very well respected event simply because of who created it. Gary Gygax created Gen Con out of a love and passion for his work and fantasy and sci-fi, and he wanted to create an event where everybody could get together and enjoy things that they all loved. But it, over the past couple of years, has been hijacked, and we have seen people that have just ripped into the memory and the spirit of what it once was and what Gary Gygax wanted it to be. But now, in a funny turn of events, we're seeing Gen Con firing their staff of woke individuals. This is a Fandom Pulse article. It says Gen Con has been known for its woke activism over the last decade, miring the convention in identity politics when it used to be known as the greatest tabletop gaming convention in existence. Nothing has been worse in this regard than the Gen Con Writer Symposium. This writing track was supposed to highlight great writers in science fiction and fantasy, but instead devolved into SFWA's political arm. After several years of failure, Gen Con fired every staff member from the symposium to get a clean slate for the following year. Oh, this is too good to be true. We always say get woke, go broke, and that is exactly what is happening here because they try to lean heavily into identity politics, but it failed for them. And I can't say I feel bad at all whatsoever that these raging leftists, toxic feminists, and identity-obsessed freaks are getting fired, that they are no longer going to be affiliated with Gen Con. Now, I don't think that this is going to save Gen Con by any means. Over the past couple of years, they have done so many things that have pushed individuals away that they are never going to get back. So they have irreparably damaged their customer base by banning individuals like Jeremy Hambley from the quartering. They had banned TSR simply for their political leanings. And even looking at something like Fandom Pulse, John Delarose is someone who creates so many amazing pieces of content every year and really tries to just create good experiences for his readers, but he would never be allowed at an event like Gen Con simply because, oh my gosh, they don't agree with him. And that is a major problem. All you are doing is dividing the fan base that could show up to your event. You are just dividing already, let's be honest, smaller numbers. We're not talking about, hundreds of millions of people who pay attention to Gen Con every single year, but there are a couple million. But if you have, say, 10 million and you're saying F you because we don't like your politics, well, then it goes down to 5 million. And then that 5 million still may not show up. So you cut that in half to 2.5 million. See, it just ends up being a very big problem for companies. In the end, that's why I roast so many companies on my channel, because they don't understand that at the end of the day, they don't exist if we don't show up and swipe our credit cards. But some of these people just don't care because they think that they are right. As the article continues, the Gen Con Writer Symposium is a veritable who's who of SFWA clout chasers, mostly compromised of failed authors who use identity politics to get small publishing deals, but rarely sell. And interestingly enough, if you look at the guest list for GenConWriters.org, there really are not a lot of people here that you're going to know. These are all individuals that are featured speakers, so you would think they would be, the top of the food chain when it comes to sci-fi and fantasy, and you'd know most of the people here, but the majority of them are just, he/hims or they/thems. people who, yes, are really just focused at the end of the day on identity. And there are a few good people on this list, like Howard Andrew Jones is fucking fantastic and he deserves so much positive attention, but he's like the only one on this list who doesn't go around calling people that he would disagree with ists and phobes. I mean, if you look at this list, Jennifer Alloway is here. She's actually the senior game writer at Monolith Productions on the upcoming Wonder Woman game. She is a massive SJW, and she's writing with another senior writer, Tanya DePass, who, yes, started harassment campaigns against individuals for Hogwarts Legacy for not boycotting Hogwarts Legacy. She believes in Gamergate, right? Oh my god, it's a harassment campaign. So we're just talking about individuals here who really don't deserve a lot of positive attention. And I don't know every single person on this list, so I'm sure that there are still a few people here that are pretty good who do create good content. But right off the top of my head, there's only one that I can say is half decent. Then you have like Pathfinder writers and Battletech writers who, yes, focus on pushing an agenda in their work. It's just absolutely freaking pathetic to see. This is not an event that I would go to listen to these featured speakers, because I'm sure that at the end of the day, all they're going to want to do is yap about how they're special, you're not, and you know, we need to be more inclusive and diverse in our industries. If I show up to an event like Gen Con, I want to hear about sci-fi. I want to hear about fantasy. I want to hear about futuristic guns in cyberpunk worlds. And I want to hear about dragons in an upcoming series. I want to see in-depth magic systems. I'm not there to be lectured. And that's exactly what these people do. That's what they focus on. And funny enough, there are already people that are melting down over this. Emily Bell, who is one of the individuals who leaked the news on her Facebook, saying the GCWS committee was informed that at the very end of the meeting with Gen Con, with no reason given, that while our show went, quote, really well, yeah, I guess if 5 people show up, you can consider it really well, no people on the 2024 committee will be invited back next year. I will be requesting a meeting with Mr. Atkinson. Oh my god, she wants to talk to the manager. At a minimum, I would like a reason given for our dismissal, because without a reason, I will only have my own documentation to show regarding how Gen Con addressed issues of both race and disability. That sounds like a threat, at least in my opinion, that, oh, if I don't get the meeting, I will have to, release my documentation. That is such a disgusting way to approach a situation like this. They do not owe you an explanation. And yes, if you've been with them for a decade and you've been helping them, even if I don't agree with your stance or who you are as an individual, sure, I do think that you are owed some kind of general information, like, oh, it just didn't earn us enough money, or oh, it wasn't going over well with our audience. But it's not like they have to show you paperwork and receipts and so have some long explanation. You deserve one sentence in an email, not a full fucking essay. And that is exactly what Emily Bell here wants. So I think that this is absolutely hilarious to see. I do not feel bad for these individuals. Now, I'm sure that they are going to be melting down more on social media. I'm sure that there is going to be a slew of individuals who are going to be unhappy with this. But at the end of the day, I just don't feel bad. These people have co-opted Gen Con. They have ruined the spirit of what it once was, and they have taken it and absolutely wrecked it. If they allowed anybody with any political opinions, then that would be one thing. And I would sit here and say, yeah, that is a really, really bad way to go. They shouldn't be doing this, because it looks like they are singling out people of a certain background or political leaning, because I'm fair, right? I want everybody to have a platform and have a space and have a voice, even if I disagree with every single thing that they say. But these are the people who say F you if you don't agree with them, so I am not going to defend them. I do not feel bad that they are losing their platform. These are the people who just a couple of years ago were whining and complaining about how they were deeply troubled over Indiana's abortion ban. Some vendors back out. And sure, you are allowed to have your opinion about an abortion ban, but to use your platform and say, I'm a Gen Con organizer, so my opinion matters more than the average individuals, and you get fucking Polygon to write pieces on you and your opinion, it's just absolutely pathetic in my opinion. These people are desperate for attention, so I will be keeping my eye on this situation to see who else melts down and what else happens, but I really don't care, and I don't think that this is going to mean a massive change for Gen Con, but it is pretty funny. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. If you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, leave a like if you enjoyed, a dislike if you didn't, and I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.